Affiliates.
Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, and since this is actually the final pod of 2024, Happy New Year to each and every one of you out there listening. This is Soccer in 60, your weekly fix of soccer here in the Los Angeles area, ranging from LAFC, the Galaxy, Angel City, and of course the Empire Strykers of the Major Arena Soccer League and Orange County Soccer Club. My name is Christian Filliman, aka Feelin' Fine Philly today, and joining me, the host of this wonderful pod, Tim Kolatz. Tim, my man, what's the good word?
Billy, it's always great to see you. And again, Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever you celebrate. Thanks for celebrating your Boxing Day with us. You know, most of the time, Boxing Day, I had to look this up. Billy, Boxing Day was normally when you box up all your friends and send them home. For me, it's boxing up the stuff that didn't go well and needs to go back to the stores.
What I love about Boxing Day is the fact that we get to watch a whole slew of English Premier League games. I woke up at 4:30, caught that Manchester City Everton game all the way through to the final game. It's been a good day. It absolutely has. But Tim, we gotta pay the bills. So that being said, gotta recognize our sponsors. Experience the thrill of game day with Omnitrans in partnership with the Strykers. Be in the heart of the action at Toyota Arena and let us take care of the ride. Heading to the game? Hop aboard Omnitrans for a seamless journey to Toyota Arena. Simply download the Transit app and catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip to cheer on the Strykers. Gear up for an unforgettable match day? Join Omnitrans in supporting the Strykers and make every moment count at Toyota Arena. Don't miss out on the excitement. Ride with Omnitrans to the game.
It's far easier to ride the Omnitrans, especially if you've had a beverage or two. You know, you don't want to have the popo come and get you. So take Omnitrans.
There you go. It's the last thing anybody wants in their holiday stocking is a Dewey, that's for sure.
That's exactly right. You know, but we've got a heck of a lot of footy to talk about, and you know, we've got a great interview coming up. We've got Andy Reyes of the Empire Strykers coming on with us today, Philly. That's going to be super fun. But let's get into a little bit of LAFC. LAFC was a little quiet for a couple of weeks after the season, but full speed ahead with them now, right, Philly?
Yeah, of course. John Thornton, the general manager and president of LAFC, likes to work quickly, swiftly, and more importantly, silently. While other teams are going out there making big deals and blockbuster signings, everything is quiet at LAFC until it is not. A couple of things did transpire. In fact, a lot of things did go on in the league with player additions and subtractions. But the biggest thing that happened to LAFC, they signed former San Jose Earthquake and Portland Timber forward Jeremy Abobasi with a contract through 2027 with a club option for 2028. Jeremy Abobasi is still in his prime, young player, has 60 goals and 18 assists in his 128 games played. Tim, we were terrified as LAFC fans anytime that either Portland or San Jose would roll in because of Jeremy Abobasi. This guy was an LA killer. It seems as every time he took on LAFC or the Galaxy, he was always a threat offensively, whether creating opportunities for himself or his teammates, or more importantly, finding the back of the net on several occasions.
Yeah, certainly. You know, half of our reads this past year for the updates when they played against Abobasi, he was all over the place. Well, he may not have made the score sheet every game, which he did a lot, but if he wasn't on the score sheet, he was creating havoc throughout the entire defense of both LAFC and the Galaxy, Philly.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a young player, as I mentioned. I think he's about 27 years of age. And people will go back to his most recent body of work with the San Jose Earthquakes and think, well, he didn't exactly have a great year. Well, no freaking kidding. Neither did the San Jose Earthquakes, the wooden spoon winners, and the least amount of offensive output from any one of the Major League Soccer teams out there. So you can't exactly fault Jeremy Abobasi for not scoring goals on a terrible, terrible team. But he's shown that if he has a decent midfielder and some decent facilitators to get him the ball in the box. The kid is lethal. Again, 60 goals and 18 assists in the 198 games that he's played. If there's anything that we know for a fact in this league, Jeremy Ebobisse can score. LAFC has Olivier Giroud, and we know from a global scale and an international scale that guy is supposed to score. Unfortunately, he didn't find the back of the net that often. He wasn't very friendly with the netting, but Jeremy Ebobisse is a proven scorer in this league, and I think that's what LAFC certainly needs in this new signing.
I agree with you because he's going to be a very complimentary 9 to Giroud playing as the pure and total striker. Just get me the ball. I'm not going to pass. I'm going to put it in the back of the net. I think that's one of the things, even with LAFC finishing at the top of the Western Conference, I think they were missing a complementary piece to Giroud. And I think this is going to be a very solid addition to that front line, midfield, however you want to call it, Philly.
Yeah, I mean, the story has yet to unfold. Obviously, Denis Bouanga isn't going to be going anywhere, but that's not to say that nobody else in LAFC's front line isn't. So we shall see the story will develop. But as we've signed somebody up in the forward position, defender has been signed as well, in that of Marlon. The club has re-signed the defender, interestingly enough, through June 30th of this year with a club option for the remainder of 2025 and 2026. He'll be occupying an international roster spot. And, another young player, 29 years of age, came on late as a result of the injury to Jesus David Murillo. 8 appearances across all competitions, 5 MLS regular season, Open Cup, so on and so forth. Managed to find the back of the net in one of the games. And he's another well-traveled player coming in from Fluminense of Brazil, Ukraine Giants, Shakhtar Donetsk. I mean, he helped Fluminense with their club, their first ever Copa Libertadores final and appeared in the 2023 FIFA World Cup. So that's big deal in particular because while the club hasn't made it official yet, Jesus David Murillo on his social media announced that he was departing LAFC. And here's a young man who's been with the club for quite some time, part of the MLS Cup winning team in 2022. In fact, scoring a goal in that game. US Open Cup, the CONCACAF Champions League team of the tournament in 2020, an MLS All-Star in 2021 when Bank of California Stadium hosted it. So with 30 years of age, he's still got plenty left in the tank for him to further his career. But him leaving is a big reason why Marlon resigned.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big deals is that Marlon is going to take on a much bigger role now with the departure. And with that, Philly, I'm wondering how, Marlon getting in just 8 games last time, right? And I think that, he signed through the end of June of 2025. I think they're going to pick that thing up. I'm thinking 4 or 5 games into the season. I think they're just going to make it a done deal through the end of 2026. I can't see them not doing that because Marlon's going to shore up that back line, and it's going to be, especially with David Maria being gone, I think they have to put him back there and get him signed long term, don't you?
We'll see. It all depends on how he plays. I know one of the issues that he had for his previous club before coming to LAFC was the fact that he failed his physical. Now, I have no idea why exactly he failed his physical, but again, he was brought on as an insurance policy. He's going to shore up that back line, and I think it's fascinating that they've signed him for that short period of a time. But, come June, LAFC will have a better idea what their identity looks like, how good their back line is, and more importantly, how good the defense is as a whole. So we'll see about that. A couple more tidbits of information before we transition on over to the now reigning defending MLS champs, the LA Galaxy. LAFC in the MLS Super Draft selected Alec Hughes with the 22nd overall pick. Forward from UMass, 51 goals in 5 seasons for the Minutemen. Atlantic 10 Conference Offensive Player of the Year in both his junior and senior years. So here's a young man who's got some serious game on the Division I level. LAFC acquired this 22 overall selection from Inter Miami, which is how they ended up getting Alec in exchange for $50,000 in general allocation money for 2025 and LAFC's second round MLS Super Draft selection in 2026. That's the story with our draft pick right there. In our draft pick, I'm saying this as if it's my club. It's not. I'm a supporter of LAFC, and that's the story there.
Yeah, and those 16 goals this past season put Alex Hughes at at the top with 51 goals through his career at UMass. That puts him in the lead over anybody else that have ever played soccer at UMass. So it's incredible that the LAFC team has picked up Alex. I think he's going to come in. I think he's going to make a splash right away. He may play for LAFC too for a little bit. I think he's with the big club before the end of 2025.
Yep. Just a couple more housekeeping items. CONCACAF Champions Cup. LAFC drew the Colorado Rapids. So exciting in a global tournament. We get a team from Colorado. So on February the 18th, LAFC will be heading into Colorado, Commerce City, Colorado to be exact, to go to Dick's Sporting Goods Park to take on the Rapids. And then on the 25th at BMO, they will be hosting their claret and blue familiar foes. And then in between that, the home opener on February 22nd against Minnesota United. We're going to talk a bit more about the schedule because all the MLS clubs have released their schedule in the past week. LAFC has, obviously the Galaxy has, and well, El Tráfico is something that always builds excitement, and we have plenty to talk about as far as that's concerned. But for the most part, that wraps up all your LAFC information for the time being.
Yeah, that's great, Philly. Thanks for that. And it's always fun talking about the scheduling coming out. We'll get that into more of that as we get into the season. But cruising on over down the street down to LA Galaxy, the Galaxy have made a couple of moves. We talked briefly about this last week. Was that Gaston Brugman has been traded to Nashville, and we didn't really talk about who the Galaxy are bringing in. And the Galaxy are bringing in Sean Davis. And Sean Davis is really going to be a solid player for the Galaxy. Bregman didn't play a whole lot this past season, but Sean Davis has played a lot of soccer. He's been around the MLS since about 2015. He's played on a couple of Red Bull teams, including the 2018 New York Red Bulls team that won the Supporters Shield. And he is very, very solid. And he's played the last three seasons with Nashville. And he's going to bring a strong midfield presence to the Galaxy. And they've already got Ricky Pooch and things like that, Marco Royce. But with Sean Davis coming in, I think he's going to be a really strong addition to that midfield and might be able to play a little bit on the top line as needed.
I mean, look, yeah, you said it. He won Supporters Shields with the New York Red Bull in 2015 and 2018. He's had a significant presence within this league, 211 career starts across 10 years. The Galaxy, though, in that of Gaston Brugman, I mean, let's not forget the fact that here's a guy who, at 32 years of age, recorded 6 goals, 10 assists in 71 appearances for the Galaxy, 55 starts across all competitions. Part of that championship team, in fact, being named MLS Cup MVP after the Galaxy ended up beating the Red Bulls on December the 7th. So quite surprised that they let go of their MLS Cup MVP. I mean, you're a baseball fan. If you remember the 86 World Series when the Mets won, Ray Knight got the MVP and they let him walk. This is exactly what it strikes for me. But not only did they trade Gaston Brugman, there was also a conditional $100,000 in 2026 general allocation money if Davis meets certain performance metrics. So this is an intriguing and interesting move by the Galaxy. As I mentioned, Brugman had a very solid tenure, and he capitalizes that with not only the 6th trophy for the Galaxy in their history, but an MLS Cup MVP award as well. I'm quite surprised by this move.
Yeah, looking at it, as soon as it hit the airwaves, I was surprised at it as well. And it's been about a week or so since the news broke, and I'm really surprised at it too. I'm not shocked at anything that the Galaxy or the LAFC teams do as far as things go, because you always got to build towards the future, and you're always looking to get, in the Galaxy case, MLS Cup number 7. But this one kind of was shocking that it happened so quickly after it. And I'm just wondering if that was a little bit quicker, if Nashville had been targeting him, or if the Galaxy had been targeting him to move off of him sooner than any of the rest of us think. And just the fact that he came in and filled in just so ridiculously amazingly for Ricky Pooch in that MLS Cup final. I just wonder if something wasn't cooking before that game even happened.
Maybe. I mean, yes, a move like this had to have had some thought brought behind it. Look, the Galaxy successfully completed their race to saves, and they know they're trying to shoot for heaven if they get number 7. But I'm not going to question their general manager, Will Kuntz. He did amazing things at LAFC. He did amazing things with the Galaxy, turned them around in a really quick period of time. So we'll see how Sean Davis meshes with the rest of his team. But you mentioned Ricky Pooch. Tim, there was a couple player awards that went through the Galaxy recently. Ricky Pooch, the team's player of the year. No surprise on that. Gabriel Peck, Golden Boot. No surprise there. Jalen Neal, Humanitarian of the Year award. Kid's barely old enough to go to the bar, and he's getting Humanitarian of the Year awards. I tip my hat off to him. That's pretty awesome. And, of course, Maya Yoshida with Defender of the Year. So the Galaxy recognized some of their best players recently, but Jalen Neal, Humanitarian of the Year award. Man, that's pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this on last week's show too, Philly, with Nina, and he not only won it this year, but he won it a couple of times when he was with LA Galaxy too. So he's been a stud. He's really been putting his efforts back into the community, to his hometown, to the local soccer and community directives all throughout Southern California. And Jalen Neal is just a stud in my book. He's an amazing player on the field, but it seems like he's an even better dude off of the field.
Absolutely. Speaking of dudes, better dudes, Mickey Amane celebrated a birthday 4 days ago, so happy birthday, Mickey Amane. But we talked about LAFC's drafts, picks in the Super Draft. Why don't we cover the Galaxies? Because they ended up picking up 3 players in the first 3 rounds.
Yep, they got a great kid with their very first pick in the first round, the 20th overall pick. They picked up a guy named Jason Bucknor out of Michigan, and he played all 4 years for the Wolverines. This guy is going to be a great addition to the Galaxy franchise. He was named to the All Big Ten freshman team in the year 2021. This past season was a shining star with 7 goals and assists across 20 matches. And he started in 18 of them. So for the Galaxy to pick up a guy like this and Bucknor, who's still only 22, 59 career matches, 46 of them starts, I think it's going to be a great pickup for the Galaxy, Philly.
Yeah, we shall see the Big Ten, a great conference. And interestingly enough, it wasn't really major conferences that represented the College Men's Soccer Cup. Congratulations to Vermont in beating Marshall. You had the Catamounts getting their very first NCAA win in any sport, beating a really solid Thundering Herd team. So no big conferences representing in that College Cup. But yes, the Big Ten, very awesome conference. And I might be kind of biased considering that I went to Indiana, the second most successful men's college soccer team in history, next to St. Louis, of course.
Yep, Indiana, great place to go if you want to play soccer. If you want to look up it, my brother used to play soccer back in Michigan with a former kicker in the mid '80s. Go ahead and look that guy up. He actually went and played for the Miami Dolphins as well for a while. So Pete Stoyanovich, look that name up. That's one for the record books. So, but the Galaxy also picked up a guy later on by the name of Jacob Woznicki from Hofstra. And he's in the second round, 60th overall. And Woznicki, also 22, has got 9 goals and 5 assists in just 21 matches played as a grad student for Hofstra during the 24 season, and helped the Pride win the Coastal Athletic Association, helped to win the conference title, made first team All CAA. So they've got a couple of good guys in the first couple of rounds that are really going to be strong additions to the team for several years coming.
Potentially. I mean, Hofstra very much known for being a lacrosse school. I know because I literally spent 1 semester of my college life at Hofstra in Hempstead, New York. And let's not forget about the local kid that the Galaxy picked in the 3rd round, the 90th pick overall, out of Cal State San Bernardino, Nicholas Sullivan. So keep your eyes out on these boys. We'll see what the deal is. Just because there's drafted doesn't mean that they're going to be solidified on this roster. They'll still have to earn a spot. That goes without saying.
Yep. And, the schedules is out like you talked about for LAFC, and they're gonna schedule for the Galaxy comes up. One of the big games every year. They played LAFC last year at the Rose Bowl under the fireworks. The Galaxy are gonna play a home game against Philly's favorite team, the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Yeah, oh, the
uh,
Whitecaps. I don't think I've
they're
seen a
gonna
team live more than in my life than them.
Exactly. They're gonna, so after the on the field fireworks, you're gonna have fireworks after the match, and this is the longest running fireworks show in all of professional sports here in the U.S. The LA Kings tried it one year, but that didn't bode well inside a Crypto.com arena. But the the Galaxy will be hosting the Whitecaps on July 4th, so make sure you get those tickets early because they're gonna sell out right away.
Absolutely. Surprised that they're not going to be playing LAFC, but that's neither here nor there. More on that later. Tim, we got bills that we got to pay once again. So that being said, Soccer in 60 is brought to you by National Core, one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strikers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. To learn more about National Core and their mission, go to nationalcore.org. Now we talk about the Empire Strikers. We transition on over to that, bringing in our guest. Our guest today is a club icon with the Empire Strikers who has been in the MASL since 2015. He just recently played in his 80th game with Empire after returning to Southern California following a season and a half with the Texas Outlaws. The Southern California native and a defender has started his second stint with the Strikers on fire, having averaged a point and a half through the first 4 games of the season and ranking tied for 3rd in the league in assists. I can genuinely say we couldn't be more thrilled to have joining us today, Mr. Andy Reyes. Andy, welcome to Soccer in 60.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Philly. Thank you for inviting me, and it's an honor to be here.
Andy, we thought about introducing you as the new star of the Empire offense. As I said, you're a defender. However, last season with Texas, you set a career high by averaging a point per game. Now with Empire, you've taken it another level at 1.5 points per game so far. It seems part of new head coach Onu Obasi's approach, revolves around making the team less predictable and getting everybody involved in the attack. Of course, you also take a lot of set pieces. Now, can you talk a bit more about what has enabled you to be so successful going forward?
Honestly, I can say it's same with Texas, and here is just the confidence the coach gives me. Freedom to play what I see, and I think it's paying off.
All right. Well, speaking of Coach Obasi, we've heard a lot of good things. Like, you're someone who's played under a different head coach, several different head coaches now. Like, what's your take on the new man at the helm? And being a veteran and one of the leaders on the team, how do you feel he manages the locker room, given the fact that he's only 36 years old and was himself a player in the league just last season?
No, well, obviously, like you're saying, I've had different coaches, and he is close to my age, and I know it's his first real team coaching, and honestly, he's doing a really good job. He knows the players. He's played with a lot of the players, so I feel like he's managed the team, the locker room very well. And like I said, he gives you that confidence to play your game. He tells you what you're good at, what you're doing bad, and approach to fix it. You know what I mean? Not just figure it out.
It sounds like he's taking you guys under his wing and getting you guys to play to your best abilities. I love it.
Yeah, and then,
Andy,
and our system it's new to us too, but I feel like we're getting a hang of it as games go on.
That's great. Andy, you've called the Strikers organization your home before, and you just played in your 80th game for Empire, having finally made your return to the area after a season and a half, like you mentioned, with Texas Outlaws. What does it mean to have for you coming back to the Strikers, and what's it been like both on and off the field for you?
No, this, like I said before, this is home to me. I played in Cal State San Bernardino, so I love it here. Never wanted to leave, just I guess life took me on a different path. I'm glad to be back. I actually coach in the area as well, so it was a win-win for me.
Awesome.
You know.
Yeah, that's great. I love it when the players are also coaching the locals, getting the professionalism to the lower levels.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, what were some of the things that you missed most, especially when you were in Texas, being away from Southern California?
yeah. Oh well, for one, for me, family is everything, and being away from my family just. Uh, I spent Christmas. It was just me, my wife, and my son. You know, and I have a big family. I'm really family oriented, and that was a big. I don't know. I don't want to talk bad about Texas because I love my time there, but just I like to be around my family and families in California.
Well, family first, man. That's what we
Yeah,
always say here on the show. Family comes before everything else.
yeah.
So, having said that, you're back around your family again. Has your family made the drive up from San Diego to see you play? Are you having to get 50 tickets to a game? You know?
They still haven't, but they've tuned in every game. They've tuned in every game, and they're actually excited since I'm from San Diego to there because now the new arena is like 30 minutes from home, so they're excited. They're asking me, "Hey, can you get tickets and stuff like that?" I need a lot of tickets.
Well, we know Sean Bowers. Maybe we'll put in a phone call for you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You mentioned the Outlaws. Like, let's take a quick look at the away win against your former team. What was it like going back there and competing against your former side that you used to represent?
No, it's always a nice thing, you know. Like for one, good thing they didn't fold, so they're still in the leagues, and that's a positive. You know what I mean? And going back, I have family out there. I have a couple cousins out there, and they came out to see me. You know, and it's the fans. They took us in really well, and you know, there's some love for Texas.
While we're on the subject of the Outlaws, let's talk about the fact that you made your way back to Empire during the offseason along with two former teammates and still current teammates, I guess you could say, in that of George De Leon and Emmanuel Aguirre. Of course, the Strykers had already reacquired several other former fan favorites. Like, how much has it helped that a bunch of you have previously played together? Like, do you feel the team has gelled a lot quicker because of that?
I actually think it has. We actually got close pretty fast. You know what I mean? As a full unit, like still in the Chihuahua game, there's still some people like we stood in jail as well. And I don't know. I just feel like I said, every game, I feel like we're getting better. If maybe it's baby steps, but we're getting better.
Yeah, we've definitely been able to see that over the past couple of games. So speaking of San Diego with Front Wave Arena on Saturday, the Strikers take on their longtime rivals, the San Diego Sockers. It promises to be an intriguing matchup with both clubs looking competitive this season.
Yeah.
Some may not know that not only have you played against San Diego many times, you're also from there and played with the Sockers during the 21 to 22 season.
Yes.
Weirdly, that's the last time they won is when you were on the team, but we'll get to there in a minute. With firsthand experience, how would you explain what makes them so good, and how are you guys approaching this upcoming game against them?
Well, in my opinion, they're always good because they have top talent. You know, they have a deep roster. It's not just the 16 or 15 that make the roster. They have plenty of people stepping right in to fill in the shoes. You know what I mean? And I feel that we right now have that as well. You know, if you guys noticed, they Obasi traveled different players for this last game and same result. You know what I mean? I feel like everybody here can help one way or another, and I think that's what's going to make us successful.
That's awesome. So our last question, our producer and head of communications with the Strikers, Gunnar Burnt, tipped us off to something. He worked with the Ontario Fury, as Empire was previously named, while
Yes.
you were also there in 2019. Can you remind us reminded us that you've now played with two of the biggest stars in the history of the MASL in Jermaine Jones and now Marco Fabián.
Yes.
Each one has a rocket of a shot, but they're obviously very different player types. How would you say building the team's approach among Marco differs from building around Jermaine Jones?
Well, I mean, they're both different. You know what I mean? One, he came as a star, right? World Cup. Um, Jermaine Jones is just, I don't know. I was able to gel quicker with Marco Fabian. You know, I followed the Mexican league growing up. You know, we have a lot of things in common, um, and my family is full Mexican. You know, and he came, and actually the difference, what I would say from the two is uh, Marco Fabian a little bit. He comes around the team more often. You know what I mean? He's around the team a little more than Jermaine Jones was. Both great players, though. Both actually have a rocket of a shot. You know, but it just uh, Fabian, for example, everywhere we go, somebody recognizes him, wants a picture, wants autographs, stuff like that. But he acts like it's nothing, and he carries us around him,
Love that. Well, the one thing you have in common with Marco, Andy, is the fact that you both have 6 points on the season. Yours coming by way of 1 goal and 5 assists. So congratulations on the success thus far, and good luck against the Strykers. I'll be down at Front Wave cheering you all on. I get a nice day off from calling the game. So good luck and kick some major booty this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you guys for having me.
Of course. We'll see you soon. Andy Reyes, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once
Thanks,
again.
Andy.
Now, the Strykers have done something that they haven't done in a little while, Tim, and that's a winning streak. 2 straight games. We said it on the interview with Andy. A win against the Texas Outlaws on the road and a win against the Tacoma Stars a few days prior to that. Both games, incredible. Strykers scoring 20 goals over the course of both games, only allowing 10 goals. Strykers are looking pretty good so far after their first 2 losses.
Very much so. And the biggest thing that I've noticed is that last season we saw a lot of the games they would give up and they'd melt down in one quarter, typically is the third or the fourth. This year, these last 2 games, they've been the one making the other teams melt down. 6 goals against Tacoma in the second half, 4 more goals in the second half against Texas. They are no longer melting down in the second half and giving up leads, or they're actually taking it to the other teams, because they go into that game the other night. They were down 4-3 at half, and they come back and win 10-5. That's a big difference from what we saw last year, Philly.
Of course. And look, the game against Utica City, I know y'all recapped it the last time around, but that to me, when leaving that broadcast booth, gave me a lot of hope, confidence, and optimism. Something I can't say was really there last season. But I will say this, even last season, with the franchise going through one of their most challenging seasons, they still had 9 games in which they were within 2 goals as far as the result is concerned. But like you said, completely different team. The interesting thing in this win against Tacoma and the Outlaws is the fact that the Strykers were down in both games coming out of the half. But offensively, they really started taking care of business against Tacoma. Marco had 2 goals. Andy, who we just had the interview with, had a goal and 2 assists. And Stinson had a goal and 2 assists. Along with Emmanuel Aguirre, they played an outstanding game, not only beating the Stars by a score of 10-5, out shooting them as well and clamping down on them defensively. In the third quarter, they only allowed 2 shots on goal, which was tremendous. And then, 27-16, the shots versus the Stars. Great win, 10-5, a huge result. I couldn't tell you the last time the Strykers scored 10.
Yeah, and to put 10 on 2 different teams that are both solid teams. The Utica game, they really put it to them, 10-5. And again, the Outlaw games, same score line. But you look at
Tacoma, Tim. It was Tacoma. I wish it was Utica. You're good. You're good. Just wanted to make sure. We should have won 10-5, but we lost 9-6.
United States. But you look at those. You look at the similarities between both of those games. But one of the things that I like about Coach Abbasi is that he's making the players go out there and earn this victory. He's calling very clear timeouts when the team needs a timeout. And I think that's the difference this year from the coaching perspective, is that timeout in the Utica game was right away. There's a little mistake on the back end. It went in the net. Obasi calls the timeout and gets that team to get back together. And although they end up losing that game against Utica, it was a uh, far different mindset that the team had this year than last year, when that would not have happened. And so for Coach Obasi to got these guys, they've got these guys gelling, and I really think what a lot of is happening is that what Andy just said, they've gelled a lot together, because a lot of these guys are, one, veterans, but two, a lot of these guys have played together, Philly.
Yeah, it goes to show you how important it is to have experience in this league. Last season, a lot of fresh new faces, not only on the Strykers, but in indoor soccer. So let's take note of that. Stinson really locked in a hat trick in the last game. The Outlaws really almost shocked the Strykers. Eric Macias, who's a known player, 2 goals and assists. Then we had David Stankovic, 2 goals. But Strykers absolutely outshot them 40-17. And as a result of the performances that took place these past couple of games, 2 Strykers were recognized by the Major Arena Soccer League as far as their performances go. Emmanuel Aguirre was recognized as the Defensive Player of the Week. He scored in both games and assisted quite candidly against his former team in that of the Texas Outlaws. But he was a big part as to why the Strykers only allowed 5 goals against the Stars and the Outlaws. And of course, Justin Stinson, who I just mentioned, had a hat trick against the Outlaws and then a goal and 2 assists against Tacoma. Everybody's going to be focusing on Marco, but obviously Justin Stinson is a veteran of this league and a very talented player. If he's locked in and can stay healthy between Marco and Justin and several of the other players out there contributing offensively, with the likes of Andy Reyes, Emmanuel Aguirre doing his thing, Strykers look pretty darn good, and they're going to have to compete very well and as a team, because as we talked about with Andy, they're taking on the Sockers at Front Wave. They took the Sockers to overtime last season and ended up losing, but the Sockers have been a real pain in the neck for the Strykers/Fury organization since the inception of this franchise.
Yeah, and with Stinson playing, really, I mean, he's got magic boots on his feet this year. I mean, it's so fun to watch these guys play. And Marco always had such a great positive energy around the team last year. I think you're seeing that everybody's got a smile on their face, and that's what happens when you're winning, right?
Winning is fun.
Yeah, winning cures a lot of ills.
No kidding. From your lips to the soccer gods, yes.
Exactly. So with that, let's boogie back out to Angel City. Now, Angel City has been pretty quiet, although they did have a very big signing this past week. Angel City has announced that they've signed Macy Hodge to a 2-year deal. And this is a big deal because this is one of these first things, because they no longer have the super draft anymore, right? In Angel City and the NWSL, you can go get whoever you want. And so Macy Hodge, just completed her 4th year out at Mississippi State. Down in the South, in the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, one of the best conferences in all of women's soccer. She was named midfielder of the year this past season and led her team farther than Mississippi State has ever gone before. She led the team to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. A historic finish for Mississippi State, and Angel City brings in a midfielder who's really going to play well for Angel City here in LA. Now, if we can just, welcome to the beach, Macy, because there's not a whole lot of beaches down in Mississippi.
Certainly going to love the Southern California weather. More importantly, she's going to love the atmosphere at BMO Stadium, one of the best atmospheres in the NWSL. So if you haven't gone to check out the Angel City FC women, go out there and get those tickets. Season tickets are fairly inexpensive as compared to LAFC and the LA Galaxy. So hopefully we will see y'all at BMO. I know I'll be there. Tim, you'll be there as well. And speaking of places you'll be, you're rocking that really incredible Orange County Soccer Club jersey. Why don't you tell the listeners and the viewers at home a little bit about that, and let's transition on over to your favorite side in the USL.
Yeah, Orange County, thanks, a big shout out to Chad, the director of communications down there. I sort of missed the sale, but Chad helped me out and got the owner's journey kit on today. They had a great sale on them over Christmas. So again, it's one of these things where tickets are very affordable. You can go take your family. It's not that bad, but a lot of things have been happening in Orange County. We mentioned previously that Coach Stone is going to be back, and this is a big win. Well, just as we mentioned it briefly last week because news broke late last week, but Tristan Traeger joins the club in what's going to be his fourth professional season. And Tristan was an absolute stud this last season for Monterey Bay. He had 8 goals and 2 assists in a very strong season for him. In fact, with the 8 goals, he led the team in goals last year for Monterey Bay. Monterey Bay always played Orange County very difficult the entire season. A few times they played, but what he's going to be doing is he's going to be joining a front line that includes Ethan Zubak, Thomas Among, Bryce Jamison. Uh, Philly, the front line for Orange County next year is just going to be stacked.
Fingers crossed that they stay healthy, though. That was the challenge all of last season. Could you imagine how fantastic things would have been had they not lost the likes of a Brian Olaski and some of the other players that they had? I mean, this is a team that really went on a phenomenal run towards the end of the season and even put a dent into the postseason. So a healthy squad, along with the additions that they have, should bode well for the boys behind the orange curtain.
Yeah, for sure. Because what's going to happen is you've got Traeger coming in. With Olaski coming back, his rehab is going along strong. Chad still let me know that he's got the rehab going along. And if, like you said, they were decimated by injuries that first 2/3 of the season. You started getting everybody back. They get people believing in themselves, believing in the coaching, and they're going to be really strong next year. I mean, you put them up against anybody in the Western Conference, and I really see Orange County taking care of business and not only making a dent in the playoffs next year. I see them kicking in a couple of doors and maybe getting to that Western Conference final.
I mean, their schedule came out. They've got their first 4 games. 3 of them are going to be at home. Do you find that it's advantageous for them to start the season with that many games at home right off the bat, as opposed to maybe starting off on the road? I mean, they don't go on the road until they compete against Las Vegas on the 5th of April.
I think it's going to be very strong. I think it's good. I think the team's going to be able to gel, stay with them together. I know that the camaraderie is forged on the road, but I think having 4 of their first 5 games at home, I think they're going to benefit from that much more than most other teams, I believe, would. I think that having the training facility that they do at Championship Stadium, which has got one of the best training grounds in the league, being able to have that, I think it's really going to bode well for Orange County, and it's going to be a problem for the teams coming in. I see them winning 3, maybe 4 of those first 5 games and really kind of jumping out very quickly on these teams. And then once they get Olaski back, middle of the season, I think the Western Conference is going to have a problem.
Well, that being said, they front-loaded the schedule at home, the end of the season, and during September, there's only 1 game against Charleston, against the Charleston Battery. I mean, do you find that is, again, I have to ask, I mean, when you're playing at home, there's always going to be a home field advantage, depending on what their run looks like. I mean, you've got their last 4 or 5 at home in the month of September, on the road, Detroit City, Lexington, San Antonio, home against Charleston, and then on the road against Sac Republic. I mean, that might be a problem if the team is floundering towards the end.
Yeah, I would agree with you there too, because when you finish out the season like that, like they did this past year, they had a lot of road games coming down the stretch. And I think really what it's going to boil down to is, you said it a minute ago, if they can stay healthy, I see them cleaning house and winning 3 of those 5 games down the stretch. If they've got some nicks, some bangs, some bruises, like a lot of teams, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. But with the level of guys that they have, like Kevin Partita coming back too, and strong midfielder, you're going to have 4, 5, 6 guys in that midfield. You've got 3, 4 really good strikers. And if the Orange County boys can again keep Thomas Among to be healthy, keep Ethan Zubak healthy like he was the last 5 months of the season. God, he played out of his mind. It was great. I think
Yeah.
if the Orange County boys can keep doing that again, I think they're going to be fighting not just for sixth place in the conference. I think they're going to be fighting for second, third, maybe even first.
Well, we sure hope so. I mean, this is a proud club, a club that really had a resurgence. Danny Stone going to go out there and take care of business. Just what an exciting set of developments, from the coaching to the injuries to the postseason run. It was really exciting following Orange County Soccer Club. And of course, you're so close to the club. You do a phenomenal job giving us a lot of that information. So I always got to tell you this. I appreciate you and all your efforts. And the jersey, like, are those still available? You mentioned it was an owner's jersey, but can anybody get a hand on one of them?
Yeah, you can, if you go over to orangecountysoccer.com, you can get onto their website and pick this stuff up. They might still have a deal or two. But the cool thing about this is one of the neat things that Orange County did, and it's got a lot of publicity both here and over in Europe, because they do have the connection to the Rangers out in Europe, is that the kit that I'm wearing has over 1,000 names on it. So you see these stripes, but it's actually got everybody's name on it that bought into the club and actually have an equity stake in Orange County Soccer. And this is one of the neatest things that the ownership group has done, is they've got the local buy-in. One of the things that happened when they were trying to get their lease a couple of years ago for Championship Stadium, they had over 400 people show up at the Irvine City Council meetings, demanding basically that the city of Irvine allow the Orange County Soccer Club to stay in Championship Stadium. So this is a direct result of the city council meeting, of the people wanting to be, not only wanting, almost a need. Because when you go to Orange County's games, the veterans that the people in the stands have for the club, they need them to win, and they're willing to put their money there so that the ownership group can go out and get these better leases on the stadium, so that they can get the players like Ethan Zubak, like a Tristan Traeger, like a Kevin Partita, to come and stay with the team long term. And this is a great way to represent all of that ownership by, hey, I'm walking around with your name on it. My name's not on it. I'm representing all of these other owners. And I think it's rad.
Yeah, I think it's cool too. I know they opened up ownership opportunities globally as well, not just domestically. So that's pretty darn cool. I hope they do it again. I completely missed out on it. I'd love to lay claim to owning a piece of a soccer team. So, well, folks, we've definitely talked a bit about Orange County Soccer Club. I know we only gave a quick minute to Angel City, but I just want to transition on back there. Just want to make sure that we go and recognize the fact that Rocky Rodriguez, and Tim, I don't know if you and Nina talked about this on the last podcast. I know the news came out on the 20th, but Rocky Rodriguez, who was a fan favorite at BMO Stadium, traded to the Kansas City Current in exchange for $100,000 in intra-league transfer funds. Somewhat of a desired outcome as what Angel City would have wanted, but she was part of the team back January via trade with the Portland Thorns. 20 matches for the club in 2024, scored 1 goal in the over 1,100 minutes that she's had on the team. But we talked about the new addition. I just wanted to make sure that we did talk about this subtraction, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we mentioned it briefly, but Rocky Rodriguez was a fan favorite for Angel City. Um, and then to get that allocation money for that type of thing, obviously, the way it panned out, you kind of looked at it as Rocky potentially maybe didn't want to still be here, and that's okay. Sometimes you look around, you see the grass is greener somewhere else, and it's like, all right, hey, I want to go ahead and leave. And I credit Angel City for allowing that to happen, right? So if somebody's not happy where they are, you got to put the right person in the right seat. And if they think the right seat is somewhere else, I think it's great that the ownership group of Angel City made that happen, right? And kind of making sure that the players who want to be at Angel City actually are here. And I think it's great. And I think Rocky is going to do great where she's going. I think she's going to have a great, successful career the rest of her time that she's playing in the NWSL.
And I just have to selfishly shout out and recognize the Big Ten once again, because that is where Rocky did play her collegiate soccer at Penn State. Nittany Lion, second Nittany Lion to win the Mac Hernan Trophy, which is awesome. For those who don't know, that is honoring the top collegiate soccer players in the United States, both on the men and the women's side. So very, very cool that she was mentioned in that breath. But we're at a time right now where we're transitioning on over into a new year. Obviously, there's a new ownership. There's so many changes that are going on at Angel City. I'm anxious because I want to see exactly where this team is going to go with their choices. We know the success they have had off the pitch. We know the success they've had in the stands, but none of that matters unless the success translates out onto the pitch itself. So I'm just eagerly anticipating some more signings and just some more clarity as to this upcoming season.
Me too. There's a couple of players that I'm really looking forward to watching. One of them is Julie Dufour, who's coming over from Paris FC Feminines. I think this is going to be fun. Nina and I touched on this. There's another one named Vanessa Giles who's going to rejoin the club once her loan is completed with Lyon. I'm just very, very excited about what they're doing because there had to be some changes, Philly. You and I have talked about this. If you're not number one, you're number 100. There's too much other fun stuff to do here in LA that if you're not making the headlines, you're on page 6, as it were, in New York City, right?
You're quoting the movie, the Ricky Bobby movie, Talladega Nights. If you're not first, you're last. And yeah, I mean, that goes without question. I mean, there's so much distraction here in Los Angeles, but they are the only women's team around. Every other sport has dual teams. And so the NWSL, for those interested in the women's game, they're always going to get that love and recognition. And I will say that Angel City is quite well loved and respected around here. That goes without saying.
Absolutely. We do love the team. There's a lot of love from Panda, a lot of love from Nina, a lot of love from you and me for Angel City. We like talking about them, and it's just fun to talk about them, especially when they're exciting, and especially when it's an exciting off season like it is. And so let's move on over to the Strike Force. We've got, normally it's our best 11, sometimes then it's Elite 6, but let's get into it this week. And so we've got LA Strike Force is this week, and since we're talking a lot of Empire Strikers soccer, we've broken this down to just 3 places this week. And Philly, let's walk through them together, buddy.
Yeah, now we talked about Justin Stinson. Justin Stinson, for those who don't know, is an elite player in the Major Arena Soccer League, a true magician with his feet. You talked about him having magic boots. I couldn't have sliced or diced it in a better way. Talk about a midfielder that's great at juggling himself out of trouble and not getting dispossessed. It's Justin Stinson. And for those that don't know, actually had a small stint with the West Ham Youth Academy during his youth. That's really impressive considering the amount of talent that has come from that youth academy. But he had a stellar performance the last 2 games for the Empire Strikers. A hat trick down in Texas against the Outlaws and a very significant 1-goal, 2-assist performance against the Stars. Both of those games ended up in Strikers wins. 20 goals scored between those two, which is a significant number for Empire. They closed out the weekend as the second leading team in terms of goals for in the MASL. The reason why they only allowed 5 over the course of 2 games, 10 total, Emmanuel Aguirre also having himself a stellar start. Last season, he had his best offensive year in the MASL, but he's not an offensive player. He's a defender, but going to like the questions you asked Andy Reyes, the unpredictability aspect, utilizing the sixth attacker in that of a goalkeeper. And Emmanuel Aguirre had himself several assists and a goal in his return to Texas. He's on a 2-game scoring streak, so we hope that extends. And we got to recognize Brandon Gomez. Brandon Gomez in the game against Tacoma just this past week, he barely came onto the turf, subbing in for Clayson DeLima, Tim. On the broadcast on CBS Sports Golazo Network, I barely had the time to finish my intro to Brandon Gomez, and the next thing you know, he scores a goal. Brandon Gomez scoring a goal. It's not uncommon for goalkeepers in this league to score a goal, but this is the first time we've seen a goal scored by any of the keepers that the Empire Strikers have had since Chris Toth, and that's actually whose kit I'm wearing right here. So Justin Stinson in first place, as well as the league's offensive player of the week. Emmanuel Aguirre in second place, as well as the league's defensive player of the week. Brandon Gomez, third place as a goalkeeper, significant shutdowns, distributions, and obviously the goal. And of course, we can't help but indicate our super sub, Andy Reyes, who is averaging 1.5 points per game. I said it. He is literally tied with Fabián with 6 points. 1 goal, 5 assists. He's off to a great start. There is your LA's Strike Force for the week, December 19th through 2025.
Yeah, it's great. And the goal that Brandon had was just ridiculous. To come in right up to the yellow line and just put it far post was just magnificent. Great to see him just talk about a rocket of a shot, with some of the other guys that we were talking about earlier in the show. To be able to put up, giving up only 1 goal in 34 minutes and to get one back on his own, it's just amazing. So
absolutely.
With that, catch us on any one of the podcast networks that you go look for. Look for us on Spotify. Look for us on YouTube. Catch us on Instagram. I'm at Tim Kolotz. We've got Philly at Philomonster44. Philly, this is great, man. Let's walk out together, buddy.
Let's do it. We'll be talking about the Sockers next week and the preview against the Tacoma Stars. Again, Happy New Year, since this is going to be the last time we see you in 2024. And all the best in health and wealth to all of you come 2025. Let it be the best year for all of us. Go Soccer in 60.